Hey guys, how are you guys? It is Oscar Blue right here. It is February 13th of the year 2024. It is a pleasure to talk to you guys. A pleasure to be, saying hello to you guys on this evening. It is 1:42 over here in the evening. The topic is Joe Biden in the 4 years that he has been president. What a disaster this man has caused in terms to my immigration. That is the topic that I cover. Mostly, that is what I cover: immigration. And he has created the worst, I believe, policies disaster in history. Uh, I cannot see another president other than Obama being the worst presidents in history of the United States of America. Uh, Other than that, the statistics and the stats show that these individuals, they're completely doing this on purpose. Uh, it is to destroy the sovereignty of the United States, and ultimately, the one that has the power, it is the United Nations over your border due to the global compact of migration. But it's just, it shows. I've been watching so many videos. I wanted to come out and give my opinion on everything that is happening and towards the border, and towards the situations towards Biden speaking and confusing the president of Egypt with the president of Mexico. The guy cannot, he's 80, he's almost going on 80 years of age, or is he 80? I don't even know. But what I can tell you is that, that's, it's abuse. And whoever is doing this needs to be held accountable for abuse towards an elderly individual who is not competent of knowing where he's at, where he stands, he's running a country at 79 years of age or 78 years of age. He's running a country to the ground. It's just, the people around him are communists, are Marxists. These are the advisors of Biden. These are the people that they're advising Biden how to run a country. And not only that, the rumor that is not a rumor, uh, you know, of particularly how, who is running the presidency. That is, you know, everybody knows that is Obama. And it's sad to see how 81 years of age, my God, 81. Let me tell you something. At 81, come on, Biden, just retire, man. Go home. Go home and go home. Go home and rest. Enjoy your last years in life. Uh, that's what you have to do. Repent to all the things that you have done wrong. Um, Try to repent as much as possible, because what you have done to the world, it's it's evil. What the policies that you are trying to pass, the things that you have done, the advisors that you have, it is so bad. Really, it's so bad, and you're continuing thinking that you have a chance of competition in a debate. It's a lot of people do not know what you're talking about. Sometimes you stumble all over the place. It's just, I think that, there's a lot of presidents in the world right now that they're completely incompetent of knowing what the hell is going on. But nonetheless, I can I can't digress. I think that Joe Biden is the most incompetent president in the whole world. There's no other. And with con sus secuaces, the partners that he has, Kamala Harris and all these people, it's just so bad. It's so bad, and it's ruining the country. And it's the what is happening at the border is just, I knew that this was going to happen. I knew it when there were in elections. I was telling the American people, if he gets elected, he is going to re-sign again the global compact of migration, and your border is going to be a complete disaster like you have never seen in your life. And look what has happened. I'm not predicting. I know these things for a fact because you actually know the agenda, and we're actually living it. And it's 4 years of complete incompetence, 4 years of drowning this country to the ground, 4 years of not having a solution, uh, 4 years of more people, more migrants dying at the limitations between Mexico and the United States, more migrants dying in the whole continent, 4 years of wars, 4 years of failed economy, 4 years of the rising of progressive liberalism, 4 years of complete failure with international relations. It's been bad. It's so bad, and you actually can see it. It's the country is crumbling. Really, it is. And and a lot of people are saying like, well, you're slang to the right, Oscar. I'm not slang to the right. I'm just looking at what is happening. Everybody knows that this president is not competent to run the country, and it's when you confuse, imagine you are the president that is sending billions of dollars to another country to fund a war. Then when you get asked about this war, the response that you give is that you talk to the Mexican president to open the doors of Egypt so Israel, Gaza can get help. What are you talking about? It's so sad. And the solution is it's in the American people. Really, it comes down to the American people. It doesn't come down to nobody else. It doesn't come down to foreign aid. It doesn't come down to people standing for you guys. No, it does not. Um, it comes down to you to regain, to rebuild your country to where it was. Uh, and it's going to take some time because you guys are in debt. You guys are in debt. You guys have trillions of dollars that you're in debt, and it's looking pretty bad. And the educational system is on the ground. These gender ideology, it is completely destroying the growth of children in the college educations. Um, College, it is just so progressively liberal. Really, it is. It is. It is. You cannot have a discussion in college without you mixing a topic with gender. All has to do with the language that I tell you guys, creating hysteria, fear mongering, uh, conspiracy theories, white supremacists, white imperialists, xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, pronophobic, fascist, racist, narcissist, bigot. Every conversation that you are in college, this is the language that they are teaching your kids. They're teaching your kids, they're feminizing men. This is, they're teaching your kids to adapt to this pandering, to be a pansy. Uh, it's infuriating. Really, it is. Really, it is. And I don't know where, I live in Mexico. My country has a big problem, has a cartel problem. We have an insecurity problem. Other than that, I will tell you the economy is not that bad. Um, we have grown a lot with international investors. The advisors of AMLO, they're good, but AMLO has a different idea. He's kind of slang to be a socialist, but uh, he's all the things that he tried to pass terms to socialism. Congress always backs it out, or the Senate that is playing conservative, they don't like it, so they don't approve it. So his advisors, they're really good on economy. The level of poverty has decreased. The low income has increased. The level of life has increased. AMLO did a lot of things good and a lot of things bad. It's sad to see how that country is on a decline. The United States. It is really sad to see that. And it's more infuriating that I had this talk with Steve Bannon in the war room, and he told me, Oscar, who do you think we should blame if our country goes to crumbles or starts deteriorating? And I said, Steve, it's already deteriorating. And the American people, if they are complicit and they are pleased with this, it is their fault also. Because do you know the argument of a lot of the American people that they say the migrants are not doing anything to fight in their country? Do you know how the American people are saying, why don't these people stay in their country and fight? If this election, it is proven that the American people do not go and exercise their vote and do not go and fight for fair elections, you're going to be next. And then people are going to look at you and say, why are these Americans not fighting for their land, for their freedom? We're having a mass migration of Californians in Tijuana, U.S. citizens, Caucasian, Mexican American, uh, Asian American, Black American. We're having a lot of mass migration from Americans into the central parts of the country. Now you have Americans that they want to go and live in El Salvador because El Salvador has the best president. It's a secure country, uh, not conservative, but it's attached to conservatism. And this is the problem that I have said it multiple times. Americans, they're going to stand on one side and look at another country and be like, "That's a beautiful country," and I'm going to tell you, you had it, and you let it go. You had it, and you let it go, and that is one of the problems that it cannot get to that point. I'm not, it's not a calling for radicalism, for anarchy. No, 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 no. It's a calling for for exercising your constitutional rights, for demanding your rights as a citizen, for demanding your counsel, for demanding the people that they are in office to do their jobs. The United States government has the ability to understand what the people want, and the people are not demanding what they want. The American people have freedom still. And a lot of people say, we don't have freedom. Yes, you do. You have a lot of freedom still. You have a lot of freedom. And still, you can exercise your freedom, and you're not doing it. Next elections, it's not about being a Democrat or being a Republican. It's to be a citizen of the United States of America. That is what you need to be. A citizen of the United States of America. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, whatever entity. You are a citizen of the United States of America. You have Mexican heritage. Congratulations. You don't live over here. You were not born over here. You're proud of being Mexican heritage. I know you are, but you live out of the dollar. You live out of the capitalist dollar, and you live out of the greatest country that exists, that is the United States. Defend that country. They're trying to destroy it. It's exactly that. It's the time for understanding. I think that these times, God has a plan. You know, God has a plan for for everything that has happened, and it has to. Sometimes this kind of things need to happen for people to value what they had and what they have. sometimes these things they need to happen for people to evaluate and to value what they have. They really need to, and they need to lose some to gain some, and to fight for that. And it is just it's sad that a lot of this the U.S. citizens are not aligning to the same idea to say we need to unite. You know, we need to unite, and that's what needs to happen. Unity, it is the number one key to bring down a tyrannical government. Unity. Unity to the responsible citizens. Unity needs to happen. Thank you so much for joining in. I will listen to your comments for a few moments. Uh, and I will be traveling soon in the next incoming days. You guys know when I say traveling soon, it's because I'm traveling soon. Uh, just the only thing that I can tell you is that I'm heading to Panama to speak on the International Security Forum of Panama. I was invited to speak on the International Security Forum of Panama, where there is going to be international speakers from all across the world, even from some speakers from the CIA. They're going to be there. And before I got invited, I said to the organizers, you know how I speak about the international organizations, the UN, and all of these people, right? And they said yes. So I said, you know what I'm going to say. We know. Go ahead and be you. So I will try to explain what has been happening in the borders between Mexico and the United States with the NGOs, in the multiple caravans that we have documented and covered, that is 11 of them, our travels through Central America and the activists, how they are involved, American activists, how they are involved with NGOs and destroying the ideology of there's a border. And ultimately, what we have documented 3 times inside of Darien, we have walked and covered 3 times the Darien Gap. I'm speaking on the 20th of February on this international forum, which there are going to be really important people there. And I believe that God's plan is our mission to expose the reality. We have walked the walk, we don't talk the talk. And that is our obligation to go over there to where the crisis is at, to absorb the pain and to release the pain. And, ultimately, we need to understand that. Uh, and we need to also give the message clearly and speak clearly on what is really happening in the borders. We have gone in through these places that, no other journalist has gone to. And that's where we need to go. We see a crisis at one place and we say, wow, and I look at Ben and I said, that's where we need to be. And he says, yes, that's where we need to be. So we're going to try to expose as much as we can. We were invited through also representing our network, Real America's Voice News, to speak. The outline is going to be in Spanish. The presentation is going to be in Spanish. Uh, there's going to be international presenters on the 20th, and on the 21st, it will be all the governmental officials of the country of Panama, the director, of the Service National of Borders, Senafront, the Director of Immigration, uh, the also the Minister of Security of Panama, and other international of representatives that they want to talk about the security issue of what is happening through Panama through immigration. Our topic is to explain the dangers, but ultimately also to say this is a business and it has been created. This business is creating more violence, more insecurities, and migrants are dying. And ultimately, the ones that are benefiting out of this, it is the organized crime, the cartel, and also international organizations like NGOs that are profiting out of human misery. We cannot lie about that. We need to speak on that. We need to stay firm on our points of view. We cannot back down on what we believe in. Although we have been attacked viciously through every media, mainstream, social media, but we have stand our ground to continue to expose what we believe in. That is a secure border, is a humane border, orderly, documented, peaceful, secure migration. It is the key for a better for a human being to get to a better life, and to become a better human being. Uh, it is a reality of what is happening in our borders, and a lot of the people that they're asking. There's a comment right here. I will read the comment. There are people filling out asylum applications in Mexico for people in Central America. The application is a permit to fly from DF to the border. A relative just got 5 years work permit using the SBC 12. Someone in the U.S. is paying for the asylum applicants because undocumented are only asked for donations on 2 and 2. Wow. Yes, we heard about that. Now it is a fact. Yeah, we heard about that. There's a lot of ways that they can find a loophole to start making this as a business, as I am saying, and a lot of it has to do with the global compact on migration. This is why I have been screaming to the four winds to say to people, all these NGOs, they need to be audited, all of them. It's not. It doesn't even matter if you're non-governmental. If we're helping, they need to be audited to actually show where all the funds are going, where all the money is going, and ultimately why you're asking for federal grants of the United States taxpayer money, and where it is implemented your federal grants, and where's that money going also, and the result. The most importantly is the result. What are you doing with all the money and everything that you need? Results. Give me results. It's not just standing where there's a non-port of entry and there's no wall and giving out diapers and baby wipes and water. That is not a result. The result is, are you educating on the process of legal migration? Have you educating on the process if you are an applicant for asylum and refugee? Do you know what asylum and refugee is? And do you know how long it takes for you to apply the way that you need to apply? If it wasn't for the global compact on migration, migrants will be petitioning their asylum and refugee through a port of entry, but because of the global compact, refugees and asylees or migrants can enter through a non-port of entry. So in the eyes of Joe Biden, everything that he's doing is under a international treaty or international document. Uh, let me just read a comment. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much. Uh, let me read a comment. Please warn Panama about the hard the CCP is moving. Yes, they already know. They're in. It's really hard to talk about that. Thank you, Oscar. Stay safe. Thank you so much, Hoya. Uh, thank you. Governor of Georgia. The truth is, there are so many things going on at once. Mm, okay. Let me see. Uh, I'll go down all the way down. I'm trying to read a comment or a question that is worthy of putting on the screen. So it's a audit desperately, but it won't happen, as you know. Well, it can happen. Good day, Oscar. It says exactly need audit desperately, but it won't happen with this administration, as you know. Well, yes, you're absolutely right. With this administration, it is not going to happen. They are, they're never going to audit no NGO. And the problem with these NGOs is the enormous, distribution or smuggling of immigrants and infants. Also, the distribution of infants into the whole country of the United States of America without tracking them, without knowing where they are. That is a huge problem. And there's no accountability for it. You talk to Alejandro Mayorkas and you ask him about these issues, about the trafficking of children, about the bracelets in the border, about the consistent cartel operating on the other side of the border and not doing anything about it, not pressuring Mexico to do something about it. And it's just you talk to a guy that is always pandering and it's always filibuster and ah, it's just looking for excuses. Uh, any money for other countries? This is a comment. Any money for other countries needs to be as a loan. Nobody sends the United States any money. Yeah, but you have your corporate America all over the continent operating and making 3,000% of profit. You have all your corporate America in all the Central America and South American countries, and you're making 3,000% of profit, which is not fair. If you would, if you're going to bring a business into another country, it's supposed to be a fair trade. Of course, corruption it is on the issue, number one issue in Central American and South American countries. But when you're bringing an international business as a Walmart and a product in the United States, it is sold at the same price that in Central American, South American countries, and the workers in the United States make three times more than what they make in Central America and South America. Where's the benefit of that? I believe that they should have a task force to assure the United States when they're loaning or sending money with a purpose. I believe that they should have, because they don't send money without anything receiving. You need to understand that. Then there's international trade, and that, you know, gets along with exporting and importing of goods. What the United States lives out of. That is international trade, exportation, importation of goods, and sanctions, right? So that's your power. That's your main power in the military. So when you have that, and ultimately you're sending money, you need to send a task force. A task force. What do I mean? If you're sending money for security, example, a hypothetical example, Guatemala, and in this country you're just sending the money to the dirty politicians, how are you going to make sure that that money is being implemented on security? Why don't you send a task force to make sure that the programs are being well implemented, and ultimately not only well implemented but they're effective? You continue to send money to the wrong people and the wrong hands. Look at El Salvador. El Salvador is not receiving aid from the United States. El Salvador is creating their own economy. And sadly, Joe Biden closed the doors to Nayib Bukele. So Nayib Bukele had to look for another first class world economy, and that is China, sadly. China has a better economy than the United States, way better economy than the United States. And, ultimately, Nayib Bukele said, well, I want to deal with the United States, but the United States doesn't want to deal with me. I need to look for a solution for my country. And he looked for China. Sadly, it was China. But look at his country. It's one of the safest countries in the world right now. Their economy is boosting. The few migrants that are leaving is because the comfort of their economy is not in the comfort of their lives. Nayib Bukele has completely 360 degrees changed that country. It means that you're shooting yourself in the foot because you need Central and South America for international trade. And when you're not creating a better relationship with Central and South America and offering, what are you offering? Because you're bringing capitalist jobs, but what are you offering? What is the offer? What is their gain? Oh, well, I'm bringing you jobs. Yeah, but how's that going to grow my economy? You're just going to provide jobs to sustain a middle class, lower class family. No, I want the country to prosper. So these jobs are they going to be profitable for them to grow as human beings in the future? You need to think about that way. Sadly, is the educational system in the United States is falling apart. Really, I see these big universities in the United States as I live in next door to the San Diego, California, uh, and SDSU, it is becoming progressive liberal. In Arizona, I have friends that they say about the Arizona University is a complete, turn into progressive liberalism. Harvard, Stanford, Yale, Brown, all these universities that used to be top-notch universities, scholars, uh, and that the IQ level to be in these universities had to be completely high. If you graduated in those times from Harvard, you were somebody that could be the leader of the world. And now you go to these Harvard schools, Brown, Yale, Stanford, and they're protesting, in favor of Hamas, a terrorist group. They're radically going outside and protesting. And the gender ideology, it is completely, infatuated on the students, and it's kind of like a part of the education now. The educational level in the United States is on a decline. This is the thing that it needs to be worried about, because the next generation of Americans, it has an idea with these progressive liberalism politicians in your country. This is the next generation that they're creating. Plus, add to the fact that the irregular migration is coming in, and a lot of unaccompanied minors are arriving, and that is the next generation also that particularly they're going to be taught what's the history of the United States in the next 20 years. What do you think they're going to be teaching if they don't even like the four founding fathers? If they don't even agree that the 4th of July is independence? If they don't agree that respecting the flag, it is one of the most beautiful things in the world, listening to the Star Spangled Banner and all this kind of stuff, it is dividing, and it is in the schools. It is completely the opposite. They're saying that is white supremacy and that is racist. So by the time from here to the next generation in 20 years, what are you going to have? Are you still going to be believing in your four founding fathers? Are you still going to believe in a constitution? Are you still going to believe in law and order? What are you going to believe in? That's the sad thing about it, that the next generation, it is believing on communist Marxist ideologies, and that in 20 years from now, If this continues to be like this, it's you will never. It's sad because in the schools, instead of a math teacher is teaching you about gender, they're giving drag queen shows and drag queen stories. When a kid needs to learn about math, how to change his abilities, to the better. Sad to see this. These elections are so important for your country. Uh, Russia doesn't have one child policy. They actually advocate for more babies. Well, let me tell you, nothing. It is an attack on Christianity. I was having this conversation with my brother Raymond Assar, a Venezuelan journalist that he's located in Miami, and in the West, in the United States of America, they don't know. The families are getting short. You have families with one child. Some of the families, some of the partners or significant others, they don't want to have a child anymore. They want to have a pet because the economy is so bad, or they don't want to have that responsibility, or they believe on this gender ideology. And the that's what I have said multiple times, that when you implement this gender idea on a child, you disrupt his growth to understand that he needs to procreate later on in life. It is part of life. Nacer, cultivar, procrear, y morir. And you're disrupting that in contrary to the Muslim countries and Islam. In Muslim countries, they're having kids by the threes and the fours, and it's growing, massively growing. Their families are growing and growing and growing. So I believe that it's a complete attack against Christians, a complete attack against Christians and the Christian faith, to decrease, the family units, the family growth, into an increase. And in some other places, there's a comment right here. Since you are a Mexican and making political statements regarding our president, I can make political statements of whatever I want. It's my platform. Even if I want to talk about dog food, I can be making this kind of statements. Regarding our president and government, what are you doing to change Mexico's policies regarding migrants and international trade? Uh, what am I doing? I am not a politician. I am a journalist, war and immigration correspondent. I cover immigration crisis. I have gone 3 times into the Darien Gap, covered 2 wars in Ukraine and in Israel, and also I have covered more than 11 caravans. What I have done in all my years covering is to expose the evils and also the cartels. I have been assaulted and almost killed in Guatemala by MS-13 gang. I have been in multiple difficult situations where I have been threatening my life by American progressive liberal activists and also by cartel in my city. So it is really hard to change it with the difficulties and the insecurities that we live. But let me just remind you that Mexico is the number one country for more insecurity towards journalists and assassinations towards journalists and due to cartel activity. So it's really difficult. But we try to expose the evil that is happening, in all. And what am I doing in international trade? Mexico it is growing enormously. I am not a economist, un economista. I am not in politics. Again, I tell you, I don't have the power to change the economy, but I have the power to say what is happening in your country because it's failing. The economy is failing. And when I say it's failing, is because your economy is decreasing and our economy is increasing. If you look at the level of poverty in Mexico, it has decreased a lot because our president went to almost from 50% of, he increased the low income salary almost 50%. So families are living more economically, financially, and also the elderly people that they're retiring. He increased the salary more than 25 to 30% of retirement. I don't know what your president is doing, but I don't think that he's doing that, or is he doing that? With GDP of 25.44 trillion dollars, the USA is by far the world's largest economy in the ranking of 2022. Um, where did you get that stat? It's followed by China, second place. No, 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 no. You're incorrect. China has a way better economy than you have. Canada is also quite ahead in international comparison and occupies the ninth place in ranking. Well, I don't know where you're getting your stats. You're getting your stats possibly from a place that you feel that this is a government that is doing well on the economy. Do you know how much money have you spent on the border? Do you know how much billions of dollars have you spent on the border? Let me ask you this. Now that you're talking about quantities, do you know how much money have you spent on the border? Okay. Now that you're dropping stats, I, 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 I will tell you something. When you try to ask a question to somebody else, I will suggest something to you. Be prepared. Try to be prepared. So you have spent more than $500 billion at the border, more than you have spent in Ukraine. Do you see your border policies, how they're doing? How's your border, by the way? How's your border doing? Do you know the level of debt of people, of migrants that they have died in your American territory and also in the limitations? Do you know how much the cartel that is making out of your open border policies? Do you know how much the cartel knows about that you are in a global compact of migration and you're aligned with the United Nations? So that's the reason why the cartel knows where to drop people off. And I hate to say this, but sadly, because the United States has not put order and has not pushed Mexico to do something, the corruption in our country, it is really bad. So do you know that you're the number one country in demand of buying fentanyl? And you're the number one that is distributing fentanyl in your country with addiction in your country. And you're the number one distributing artillery to our country and to feed the cartels. As a matter of fact, the government of Mexico made a statement not too long ago about how in the hell they cartel had in their possession military weapons from your country. So when you're talking about quantities of money and you're talking about our economy is boosting, our economy is this, there was an attempt by the president to get laws passed to correct the border policies. What is the attempt? Is he part of the? Have you heard about the Global Compact of Immigration? Read that, Mr. Wenzel. Read that. I will suggest that you will read it. When you read that, you will understand that it doesn't even matter how many border policies he tries to pass. The majority of the migrants are going to come in. Read that, please. So you will understand why a lot of the migrants are still coming in through non-ports of entry and who's in charge of your borders. And that is the UN, nobody else. Somebody saying why the migrants do not stay in Mexico? Because they have created this idea that in the United States is the solution. Everybody wants to go to the United States. You know, they have their family members over there, and yes, they can apply for asylum in Mexico, but a lot of them they don't want to stay in Mexico. They want to go to the United States. Just remember, in the whole purpose is to go to the United States, and meanwhile, the United States government it is saying you have housing, we have money to give you every weekend. What do you think is going to happen? if the level of economy of Mexico is not as it's not as well as the United States, still we are not. I don't consider Mexico a third world class country anymore. I consider it a second, almost going on second class world country. But the only thing that I can tell you is that still migrants have the idea of the American dream, because this idea of the American dream has been created for decades in our minds in Central and South America. So people still believe that the American dream is easy. So when they get the migrants, when they get to the United States and they see the economical disaster that Biden has created in their country, that is a reality, you will have a crisis at your states, that you have sanctuary states. Look what is happening in New York. Look what is happening in Chicago. Look what is happening in Baltimore. Look what is happening in Cincinnati. Look what is happening in Miami. We need to read a little bit about that. I get your point, Mr. Wenzel, I think it was your name. I get your point, and I understand that you're trying to say that the United States has the best economy. Well, uh, I don't know if you have checked, but how much are you in debt? You are trillions in debt. Trillions in debt. And it is not going to be this generation that is going to pay it. It's going to be the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. There you go. 33 trillion right here. Brother, Tom Wenzel. There you go. How can you be the number one economy if you're $33 trillion in debt? Let's have a reasonable conversation, brother. It is not about being a Democrat or being a Republican. It is about having a beautiful country like the one that you live in. The United States of America, it is a prosperous country. It is a beautiful country, the land of the free, the home of the brave. Uh, and, and it is not about being blue or red. It is about, managing a way to bring back your country to where it was. And, and to create that idea on the youth and on the next incoming generations that to be an American, it is a privilege. It is a humongous privilege. You were born in the cradle of gold. You have a huge privilege to be born there. That is one of the things that it needs to be implemented on the minds of this new generation. I'm blessed. God blessed me to be born in this land. I was blessed. I was born in, a country that has survived, a conquest from Spain. They took the gold, they took our women, they took our culture, they destroyed an empire of the Aztec Empire, and you know, uh, not only that, later on, the United States took 8 states from our territory, and we still survived. Not only that, after that, we have had a lot of corrupt presidents in our history, and they have completely implemented a system that to make us think that we're poor and to make us think that we cannot be more than plumbers, carpenters, or work on the farm, like the Democrats think that that is the only thing that we're good for in the United States. So we're not good for to be lawyers, doctors, engineers, work at NASA, be politicians, senators, Congress. Idea, they implement this idea on your brain to make you believe that that is where you belong. That is what I extremely believe. And look at the consequences that we have gone through as a country in Mexico, and we're still there. We're still there. We're still trying to survive, move forward, dreaming that one day our country will be great, first class economy. dreaming that one day possibly Bukele will come in and he will change our country for secure, for the better. AMLO, on his 6 years, I can tell you he did a lot of things wrong. Uh, and look at this guy. Oscar Blue Ramirez, come on, man. The states were bought and paid for. You're talking like a commie. Okay, so if I don't agree with what you're saying, I'm a communist, I'm a liberal, and you're sounding exactly like a Democrat. You're exactly sounding like a Democrat because the Republicans or the right wingers, if somebody doesn't agree with them, you're a commie and you're a liberal or you're a snowflake, right? And on the Democrat side, if you don't agree with you are a xenophobic, transphobic, white supremacist, racist, fascist, narcissist, and bigot. Facts are, reality is, 8 states were taken by the United States, and they became property of the United States. Read the story. They were not bought for. Read the story. Simple as that. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining in. I'm about to play some soccer with my kid right here. These are the times that I like the most. Before I travel, I'm going to be a few days. Look it up in history, Oscar Blue. I can even tell you how much it was paid. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like going to elementary with this person. Don't you think that we know about that? You think that we know what happened? Okay. Uh, Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. Uh, you know, Blessings to every single one of you. 4 years of Biden, I believe that nothing in this 4 years, uh, something positive. If you can just tell me something positive that came of out of this 4 years, uh, I don't know what positive thing came out of these 4 years. Uh, and I really do not know what positive things came out of these 4 years. In terms to what I cover, and of immigration, I still, and I'm always going to say this: it doesn't even matter where I stand or where I am located. I believe that migration is a human right. Everybody deserves the right to migrate, but there's a process and there's a law, and we need to obey that law and obey the processes. Obeying the law and finding and following a process of immigration, it is not violating your human rights. Nobody's telling you that you cannot move. Still, you can move, but there's a process to enter every country, and we need to obey that. And by that, it means that we're falling apart by not educating the new immigrants. We're falling apart by not educating immigrants of how to do a process. And the progressive liberals, the globalists, and all these so-called humanitarians have hijacked the word immigrants, and they have pushed it to the ground, stepped into the ground, and now every immigrant that is migrating, now it is being attacked because of these policies, the globalists and the UN, because of these policies. Instead of enforcing and embracing a person that is migrating for a better life and telling them this is the process, this is the way that you got to do it, what abilities do you have, what can you bring to the table to this country? I'm running away from persecution. Okay, you're a separate case. You're a separate case. You're a asylee. You're a refugee. Okay, do you have a ways to present this? Yes, I have this evidence, evidence, evidence. Okay, you're credible. Okay, but not like this. Not like this. This is complete disaster. Border needs to be closed. Period. You will shoot yourself in the foot if you close the border. I will tell you why. It's securing the border, the right term. It is not close the border. If you close the border, you close international trade. And like you need Mexico for your international trade. Whether you have your pride all the way to the sky, you need Mexico for your international trade. Or the most lucrative industry in the world is the automobile industry. And all the cheap man labor, it is located in the Mexican borders. You need international trade. Chevrolet, Mazda, Honda, Ford, every single automobile industry, it is located the cheap man labor in Mexico. It is one of the things that the past president was doing, bring the man labor from China. That Obama was putting the man labor in China, had a complete agreement with China, but the past president Trump started bringing the automobile industry more closer into the country of the United States to create jobs, but not also that to lower down the cost of travel and to lower down the cost of international export and import. So if you close the border, you will shoot yourself in the foot. Not only that, you will shoot yourself in the foot into the businesses in your side in the United States. You will hit yourself in the economy. You will close the border to U.S. citizens that they live over here in Mexico. I'm talking about not thousands. I'm talking about millions of Americans that they live over here in Mexico. So you're closing the border to Americans also to exercise their right to come and fast forward to United States and to Mexico. The term is secure the border. That is what you need to do. Get out of the global compact on migration. Number one thing, the United Nations that is running your country and you're running your borders. Stop the funding to UN. Stop the funding in terms to open border policy. Stop the funding to UN. Stop the funding to these NGOs that are aiding and abetting this catastrophe to continue. And if you're going to fund NGOs, give them federal grants. Put a task force to exercise the investigation to where this money is going, and also audit these NGOs to know the result and it is effective, and that the effective result has a result that is positive. If you're not going to fund no NGO, no fund them. Secure the border, educate the migrants with processes of how to migrate and understand what is a asylee and what is a refugee. Education is the number one balance that we need. The Democrats are winning at the border because they have their NGOs that they're aiding and abetting irregular migration to continue. But you don't have Republicans doing their job on educating the migration and welcoming the migrants that they're doing illegally. Where is the Republicans welcoming people that they have been standing for years waiting on a tourist visa or they have been waiting on a resident card? These Republicans that they stand for law and order in the borders, why don't go and congratulate the people that they're doing it legally and they're coming into a port of entry and helping them to say, you know what, this is a place that you can find a job. You came to the port of entry, congratulations, welcome to the United States. This is a place that you can find a job. My name is so and so. I represent this and that. Do you understand what I mean? You're sleeping on the trail because your politicians, uh, your politicians are not doing anything because they're comfortable and because basically, not only that, because they are comfortable with their salary and they're this. That is what it is. There's a value in Mexico because they are a neighbor, but Mexico has always been evil to the U.S. No. Oh my God. Look, your question has a purpose, and the purpose of your question is for me to create an answer that it will create hatred and it will create division. Knowing that the United States is the country that buys more synthetic drugs in the whole world, that is the demand, and that has caused multiple wars and cartel wars in our country of Mexico, like Fast and the Furious. Knowing this, I will not give you an answer that you want. That is a hatred answer to the beautiful country of the United States of America. Now more than ever, we need to stand in unity and we need to stand together for law and order. and to not only stand together for law and order, but we need to stand together to fight the evil that is on both sides. Because as we have cartels in Mexico, as you have cartels in the United States, you got the African American mafia, you got the Russian mafia, you got the Chinese mafia, you got the Ukrainian mafia, you got the Italian mafia, and ultimately, when you have all those mafias operating and distributing, you got gangs, your narcotics in the United States of America. That's your cartel. Also, the corrupt organizations of the letter organizations of your government, that they know how this is happening and how this is being distributed. Also, you have the pharmaceutical companies that they're part of this enormous distribution of synthetic drugs into the United States of America. So you have a big problem over there, also, buddy. We need to understand where the problem is originated from, but also it's not to point the finger; it's to help each other to fix this problem. Because we can go on and on and on. You were, I was, and you were, I was. And the problem was never going to get fixed. What we need to do is stand in unity and fight for God. Because I'm Team Jesus. I don't know what team you are, man, but I'm Team Jesus. I hope that you are the same. God bless you all. Stay safe. Thank you so much for joining in. I have to play some soccer with my child now. And, uh, we will see each other in Panama. In the next incoming days, I will be speaking in the International Forum of Security in Panama. Stay safe. Follow my partner and friend and colleague, Ben Berquam. Follow him at all his platforms. Also, follow Real America's Voice News, the voice of the people. God bless you all. Stay safe. And like we always say, God's plan, it is our mission.